Hey there, Capricorn. Welcome to your reading for, this is for the rest of 2021. So from whenever you watch it till the end of 2021, we're just going to see if there's anything that wants to come up for you. I'm using the 5-cent tarot here if you're wondering what deck this is. But we're going to take a look at your current general energies in this first row. Damn. Did I say Virgo? I meant Capricorn. I don't know, I'm all mixed up today for whatever reason, but this is for you, Capricorn. Really good card here, so I like to see that. We're going to take a look at your current general energies, the unexpected, and in your last row here, we're going to look at any messages from your guides. And that'll be that. So let's see here, Capricorn. Love it. You have the 6 of Swords and the 10 of Cups in your first row. This to me is kind of like a symbol of fortune after difficulty, basically just improvements coming into your life here after a difficult period of time. So I like to see that. But let's see here what we have for you here, Capricorn. And Capricorn, you have the Awakening Genius card here, so love it. I feel for a lot of you, you could be waking up to something that is going to make you very successful at this time. So I see a lot of success for you in this reading we haven't even clarified it yet. You have the 8 of Pentacles as your center card as well, which is like a card of mastery. In a lot of ways, I feel this reading is pretty simple. I feel like it is just saying that you are finding like what you're supposed to be doing in your life. I don't care if you're like 97 years old, doesn't matter. I feel like you could still be discovering, it's not even like you're discovering a purpose. I feel like you're discovering something that you are effective at, which is very good. Again, this could be good for work or business. It could be good for any other area of your life as well. Even if you're retired, you could be discovering like a hobby or something that you enjoy doing and it just enriches your life. So I get like the word enrichment is popping into my head, but I feel like you're discovering something that you're like a natural at, that you're just naturally good at here. You have the 6 of Swords, the 10 of Cups, and the 8 of Cups here. I feel you've been on this very deep kind of like inner journey with the 8 of Cups here. The 8 of Cups to me is a warning against getting sucked down into an emotional whirlpool. What I would say is just intuitively what I feel for you is that you've been on a very deep inner journey. This guy that is normally on the 8 of Cups is walking through darkness. He doesn't really know where he's going. He doesn't really know what he is walking towards, but he's walking towards the 9 of Cups. He's walking towards fulfillment, and he's walking away from things that no longer serve him. And you have the 10 of Cups here, which is even better. So in a lot of ways, I feel like you are walking towards bliss. I feel like you are walking towards happiness. 10 of Cups to me is the card of happy home, happy family. So you could be walking towards love, but I wouldn't really say this is a love reading. I would say this is definitely a big picture reading for you, Capricorn, where it's like you're accomplishing a lot. I feel like you could be focusing a lot on your own personal accomplishments as well. And I feel like you're overcoming a lot of challenges as well with the 6 of Swords here. So I feel like you're kind of overcoming a lot of difficulties and challenges. I also feel like you're kind of moving on to calmer shores. So I would just say right off the bat, this reading is like a major improvement. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Here in the area of the unexpected, you have the White Raven Spirit. This card says trust in magic. I literally do feel that there could be some things that are happening in your life that appear to be magical. Is it really magic? I don't know. I'll leave that up for you, up to you to decide, but I feel for some of you that there are some things that are happening that just seem to be, that are so good that they appear like magic. So is it magic? Maybe, probably not. But, I feel like this is actually, the things that are coming in for you that could be unexpected are things that you've actually worked for. 8 of Pentacles. So that tells me that you are the one that has worked hard for this. And it's like now you're seeing results. So I do feel like there's like, this is a little bit magical for you here, Capricorn. You have the Queen of Pentacles, the 8 of Pentacles, and the Beyond card here. This is just an oracle card that is in this deck, and this card just is a card of like belief, right? And so, what I would say here is I feel like something that you maybe don't believe in is actually happening. I would let go of your doubts at this time, I'm getting with this card. And I'm also getting, like, I feel like for some of you, it's kind of like asking you to tap into your, spiritual side as well. But like I said, I feel like you have done a lot of work on yourself, on pretty much anything that you desire to have in your life, and you are now kind of seeing results. I feel like you're kind of rejecting, anything that is just average. I feel this very, the best way I could describe it is I do feel like a very driven energy here, Capricorn. Right, I feel this is a good thing, by the way. It's almost like you are rejecting anything that is average in your life, and because it's almost like you are really pushing yourself at this time, and I feel like you're pushing yourself to be kind of unique, special, hardworking, and successful. Here you are, Queen of Pentacles, Capricorn. So I feel like you show up in a very strong position here. I feel like you're kind of very practical, but also it's like you're gaining a lot of resources at this time as well. I feel like you're seeing the fruits of your labor here in this middle row. So, but this is like a collection of, I would say this is like a collection of energy that you have been creating for a very long period of time. So it's like if you've been working your butt off trying to manifest a lot of different things in your life, I feel like this is like the results, The Eight of Pentacles to me is a card of like material success on the horizon. It can represent results based off of work that you've already done coming in the very near future. And that's what I feel for you. I feel like there are like major results coming in for you based off of work that you have already done in your life. This is a very powerful reading here, and I love this. Again, I feel, like I said, I know it sounds a little clickbaity or whatever, but I literally feel that some of you, it's like what you will be experiencing almost feels like magic. It's like a flipping of a switch is what I'm getting here, where it's like one day you don't have something, the next day you do. And so it's like a very rapid change that is coming in for you. I feel like saying like the time is right. It's like, people always come to me and they say they want to win the lottery. And I'm always like, well, no, you don't. Because if you won the lottery, if you didn't know how to deal with money, or if you didn't know the energy of money, it's just going to be like water pouring through your hands. It's like, to me, it would be better to get right with money and then win the lottery. Or it would be better to get right with money and then make a bunch of money so you know how to deal with it, right? Because it's like, how many stories have you heard of people who win the lottery and then lose it all? It's because they don't know, their energy isn't right for the amount of money. But for you, I feel like this is saying the time is right for you to be kind of overflowing with abundance, because it's almost like you have learned how to handle it through whatever you went through over here. Six of Swords is a rite of passage. It is a card of, going through some sort of challenge, but getting to the other side. So I feel you're kind of like finally at the other side. In your last row here, you have the transformation card, and I feel this is in the area of, by the way, messages from your guides. Clearly, you're going through a major transformation. You have the Seven of Swords, the Page of Pentacles, and the Five of Swords here. I feel like for some of you, this is the Seven of Swords and Five of Swords would be saying, don't do things on your own. You're like the 10th sign that has had something about needing to make sure that you do things with other people. I've been telling people for months and months and months, just look at the astrology. Everything in the astrology, a lot of it, is about co-creation. We need to co-create at this time because, again, once we get past Neptune and Pisces, well, even before, it's like co-creation is going to be rewarded a lot more than before. So, I would say co-creation is going to be very beneficial. The problem with the Seven of Swords is you might want to do things on your own. So that could be a challenge. I also feel with the Seven of Swords, traditionally on the Seven of Swords, there's a guy who has a bunch of polka dots all over his cloak on the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords says, do not take things too seriously. So I feel for a lot of you that your guides, your ancestors, are kind of saying like, things in the world or things around you might seem very serious, but I feel like there is a need to not take things too seriously. That doesn't mean you don't take things too seriously. It means you just are looking at things as they are, You're taking things kind of like at face value. I feel like there's a difference between like being paranoid about everything that's going on in the world and then also seeing it and saying, okay, I recognize that these things are happening. I'm going to do my best to prepare, but I'm also not going to panic, because that doesn't help anything, right? And that's what I feel like this is saying. It's like saying, yeah, there could be things that seem serious going on around you, but it's like also you need to realize that, in life, usually what we take too seriously maybe isn't as serious as we thought it was, or maybe we don't need to take things as seriously, right? I'm not saying don't take things too seriously, but you get what I'm saying. I think here, Capricorn, it can be a card of like needing to have more fun, needing to lighten up, that type of energy, basically, is what I'm getting. The Five of Swords, again, can be a card of trying to win at all costs. I do get an energy here where you could, I feel like you could bop someone on the head right now and you would absolutely crumple them right onto the ground here. Capricorn, like I feel like for some of you, it's like, I'm getting a lot of things on this Five of Swords, where it's like maybe you have an enemy, maybe you have someone who's been trying to bust your chops for a very long period of time. I feel like if you were just to tap them, they would just disintegrate, because it's like maybe you could absolutely, verbally destroy a person right now. Maybe you could destroy someone, and literally. Maybe you could just destroy someone legally or something else. I feel like there's going to be like a situation that arises where you could do that to a person. I feel like this card is your guide saying that you need to exercise restraint in this situation where you could absolutely destroy someone. For whatever reason, I don't know. It's popping into my head. I gotta say it. But there we go. I feel like this Page of Pentacles is like saying you're on a new path. You're on this new journey. It's almost like you're outgrowing this petty energy, or a person who has been petty to you. And so, that would make sense. But we're going to clarify this here, Capricorn. We're using the 7th Sphere Lenormand, if you're wondering what this deck is. Between the Seven of Swords here and the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Moon. I love the Moon in the Lenormand. This is the Eight of Hearts. The Moon in the Lenormand is different than the Moon in the Tarot. The Moon in the Lenormand says you need to manifest something here on Earth, that there are things that you could create or you could be creating in life, and you need to bring those things down to Earth. So it's a really good time for manifestation, creation, all those other things, anything you want to do. But you could have some dreams, and this is like saying it is time to work towards those dreams. Again, I feel like you don't realize that there's magic on your side. I don't really think it's magic, right? But I feel like it's going to seem like magic, how well things turn out for you. But it's like if you don't take advantage of it, nothing is going to happen. So I kind of feel like now is the time for you to really put in the work on any projects, businesses, anything you want to see be successful. You could be working on yourself as well. Whatever, doesn't matter. The Eight of Pentacles is a card of mastery, right? It's a card of mastering a skill. So if you ever wanted to master a skill, now would be the time. Seems like a little bit of a pipe dream, but it's actually going to become a reality. Between the Ten of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Bear. The Bear is the Ten of Clubs. This is actually one of my favorite cards in the deck. The Bear. It is a card of overbearing energy. So if you read about the Bear in the Lenormand, it is a card of heavy energy, overbearing energy, but to me it's a card of great progress. It actually says you could be making a lot more progress than you realize. I'm drying out, Capricorn. But it's saying you could be making a lot more progress than you realize in some area of your life, but you're going to have to put the work in to do it. So don't be afraid to learn. The Bear, traditionally, there's a bear and two little baby bears on the card. So it can be a card of learning, educating yourself, learning as much as you can. Really good card. And again, it's a card of great progress. Between the Eight of Cups and and I'm going to start choking now, and the Beyond card, you have the Anchor. The Anchor is like a card of going from one place to another, kind of like the ship, but it's it could say that you're leaving something that you have been anchored to for a very long period of time. And that's what I get for you here, Capricorn. I feel like you are leaving something that has kept you trapped for a long time, and it's like you're about to move on to something better. I like this a lot. Between the Queen of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords, you have the Jack of Diamonds. The Jack of Diamonds is called the Scythe. The Jack of Diamonds just represents cutting something out of your life that no longer serves you. So I feel like for a lot of you, you could be cutting something out of your life that no longer serves you. For others, you could be starting something new, I feel. Between the Eight of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles, you have the Stork. This is the Queen of Hearts. I do feel like this could be just a new beginning. Again, this is clear. The Stork, storks in mythology deliver babies, right? And so for some of you, be careful if you're not trying to get pregnant, but this is also the birth of a dream for you is what I get intuitively. I don't think this has to do with love or a baby or anything like that. It could, but for the most part, I feel like this is the birth of a dream. Between the Beyond card and the Five of Swords, you have the Confusion card, the Clouds, the King of Clubs. Again, I would be very careful of anyone who you could destroy very easily, because I think that'll come back to bite you. I feel like there could be like some gossip or some things going on around you. I feel like the best thing to do would be to rise above it and ignore it, regardless of what's happening here. In your top row outcome, you have the Animus. There's your first love card, really. Could be new love coming in for you in the future, maybe next year, right? The Animus is true love. It is the Ace of Hearts. It's traditionally called the Gentleman, but it could be any gender that you're attracted to. For others, it's just a card of happiness, like your emotions overflowing. In your middle row, you have the ship. There you go. You go from the anchor to the ship. It's like literally like you are pulling up your anchor. You are moving on from something that you've been stuck to for a very long period of time. I like this. This is like a positive transformation that you're going through here, Capricorn, and probably moving on to bigger and better things. Bottom row outcome, you have the Seven of Diamonds. This is called the Birds. The birds can be, birds are traditionally messengers, and so there could be communication or messages coming in for you here. It could also just be positive communication coming in for you in general. And that's kind of like what I feel for you. I feel like there's just positive communication coming in for you in general with the birds, or there is good news coming in for you here. I love this reading for you here. I feel like it's magical, is what I would say. Again, I feel like you're going to be accomplishing things as if it were magic, but again, it's going to require work. But I think how easily things come to you once you do the work is the magical part of this reading with that white raven spirit. I think you're going to be like, wow, this took a lot less than I thought it did. Or, it's like maybe you're going to manifest the right people at the right times. Like, I feel like all these magical things are kind of like going on for you because, probably because you're putting in the work. And also it is time. Like, I feel like energetically, you're at the right energetic level where whatever it is that you're manifesting or creating, it's not going to just pour through your hands. Like I said earlier, very powerful reading. So, love it. Thank you for being here, Capricorn. Really appreciate it. Make sure to watch your sun, moon, and rising for a full picture of what's going on for you at this time. Also, feel free to like and subscribe. But thank you, Capricorn, and definitely enjoy your month.